I sat in my dining room for 6 hours that Thanksgiving evening, watching the turkey go from golden brown to cold and gray, the mashed potatoes develop a hard crust, the green bean casserole congeal into something unrecognizable. I'd set the table for 7 at 2 p.m. By 8 p.m., when I finally cleared everything away, every plate was still clean, every napkin still folded, every chair still empty. I was 67 years old, and this was my first Thanksgiving without Ellen. I'd spent 4 days preparing. I'd made the turkey exactly how she used to, with that herb butter under the skin and the apple cider brine. I'd made Michael's favorite sweet potato casserole with the pecan topping. I'd made Brian's, the creamy green beans with those crispy onions on top. I'd even picked up that expensive bourbon Michael always talked about, the one from that distillery in Kentucky he'd visited with his wife Jessica. They'd both promised. Michael had called me 2 weeks before. "Dad, we'll be there. Wouldn't miss it. Jessica's bringing her famous pumpkin pie." Brian had texted. "Of course I'm coming. It's Thanksgiving. Sarah and the kids are excited to see Grandpa." I'd believed them. At 2:30, I texted the group chat. "Turkey's out of the oven. Come anytime." At 3:15, I called Michael. Voicemail. At 4, I called Brian. "Hey Dad, can't talk. I'll call you back." He never did. At 5, I sent another group message. "Everything okay? Getting worried." At 6:30, I opened Facebook. I don't use it much. My grandson Tommy had set it up for me a couple years ago so I could see his baseball games. But that evening, I scrolled through, looking for some sign that my sons were alive, that they hadn't been in an accident on I-94. That's when I saw it. A photo posted 40 minutes ago. Michael and Brian, dressed nice, holding cocktails, standing in what looked like a country club dining room. The caption read, "Sullivan Brothers taking over the Chicago Athletic Association. Business and family time. Networking goals. Hashtag Chicago. Hashtag brothers. Hashtag Thanksgiving. Business and family time." Not with their father, with each other. Not just a photo, a statement. They were together. They were fine. They were 8 miles away from me in downtown Chicago, drinking cocktails and networking while I sat alone with a table set for 7. I didn't cry. That surprised me. I thought I would cry. Ellen had been gone 4 years, and I'd cried plenty in that time. But this felt different. Instead of sadness, I felt something else. Something cold and hard, like steel cooling in water. It started in my gut and spread outward, through my chest, down my arms, into my hands. I picked up my phone and took a picture of my dining table. The untouched food, the empty chairs, the candles I'd lit that had burned down to nothing. I didn't post it anywhere. I just needed proof, I think. Evidence that this had really happened. Then I stood up, walked to the kitchen, and started putting food into containers. Methodically, quietly. The way I used to review blueprints at work. No emotion, just work to be done. My name is Robert Sullivan. I'm 67 years old. I worked as a structural engineer for Morrison Engineering in Chicago for 38 years. I have 2 sons, Michael, 42, and Brian, 39. I was married to my wife Ellen for 44 years before she died of pancreatic cancer 4 years ago. And on Thanksgiving Day, I learned something I should have learned a long time ago, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me tell you how I got here. Ellen and I bought our house in Lincoln Park in 1989. It was a 3-story Victorian. Needed a lot of work, but it had character. We spent years fixing it up. Michael was 7, Brian was 4. They grew up in that house. They learned to throw a football in the backyard. They built that treehouse in the old oak out back. I still remember teaching them how to use a level, how to read a tape measure. I worked long hours at the firm, but Ellen and I, we made it work. We weren't rich, not by Chicago standards, but we were comfortable. We took the boys to Cubs games. We had family dinners every Sunday. The boys never went without, but they knew the value of money. At least, I thought they knew. Looking back, I can see when it changed. I made partner at the firm when Michael was in college. Suddenly, We had more money. Real money. I wanted to give the boys opportunities I never had. Private university. No student loans. Seed money for Michael's first startup. The down payment on Brian's condo when he finished law school. Ellen went along with it. She trusted me, and I was proud to provide. But somewhere in there, something shifted. The boys stopped saying thank you. They started expecting. When Michael's second startup failed and he needed money to keep his apartment, he didn't ask. He just assumed I'd cover it. When Brian wanted to join that exclusive golf club for networking, he came to me like I was an investor, with a pitch about career advancement and ROI. I gave them the money every time. Ellen noticed. She'd say, "Bob, maybe we should let them figure it out themselves." But I'd brush it off. They're our sons. This is what parents do. After Ellen got sick, everything got worse. The diagnosis came fast. Stage 4, pancreatic cancer. 6 months, they said. She lasted 8, fighting every day. The boys visited during her treatment. Once a week at first, then once every 2 weeks, then once a month. Always busy, always on their phones, always somewhere else they needed to be. Ellen noticed. One night, about a month before she died, she was lying in our bed, so thin I could see every bone in her hand. "Bob," she said, "I need to tell you something." "What is it, sweetheart?" "The boys. They're not going to be there for you after I'm gone." "Don't say that. They're just busy. They care." She squeezed my hand with what little strength she had. "They care about what we can give them. There's a difference. Promise me you won't let them take advantage of you. Elle, promise me. You've worked so hard. You deserve to enjoy what's left. Don't give it all away to people who don't appreciate it." I promised. But I didn't understand what she meant. Not really. Not until Thanksgiving. After Ellen died, the boys were there for the funeral. They gave nice speeches. Michael talked about what a great mother she was. Brian told stories that made people laugh. But during the reception, while people were still sharing condolences, I heard them in the kitchen. "We need to talk to Dad about the house," Michael said. "This place is way too big for him now. 3 stories? He's 63. He should sell." "The market's insane right now," Brian replied. "Lincoln Park Victorian? We could get 1.5 million. Easy. Maybe more. He should move into one of those senior living places. You know, the nice ones. They have activities. Nurses on staff. We should call Tom Jenkins. Remember, the real estate guy we met at the club? He specializes in estate sales." I stood in the hallway, holding a plate of sandwiches, listening to my sons plan my life while their mother's ashes were still warm. I didn't say anything. Not then. I told myself they were worried about me. They didn't want me to be alone, but they never asked what I wanted. Over the next 3 years, there were other things. Small things I noticed, but didn't add up until later. Money started disappearing from the joint account Ellen and I had shared, the one I'd never closed. When I asked Michael about a $10,000 withdrawal, he said, "Oh, Mom told me I could use that for the business expansion. Remember? You guys said it was fine for emergencies." I didn't remember Ellen saying that. She'd been pretty out of it near the end on all those medications. Maybe she had. Brian borrowed my car, the Audi Ellen had loved. Said his was in the shop for a few days. 3 months later, I still didn't have it back. When I asked for it, he acted annoyed. "Dad, I'm using it for client meetings. Do you really need it? You barely drive anymore." They both stopped coming to Sunday dinners. Too much work, too many commitments. They'd make it next week. Next week never came. The only one who kept showing up was Tommy, Michael's son from his first marriage. 15 years old, quiet, loved baseball. He'd come over every other Saturday. We'd throw the ball around in the yard, watch the Cubs together. "Grandpa," he said one Saturday last spring, "are you doing okay?" "Sure, kiddo." "Why?" "I don't know. You seem lonely. Dad never talks about you anymore. He and Jessica are always busy with work stuff and her friends. Your dad's got a lot on his plate." "Yeah." He hesitated. "Do you ever feel like people only care about what you can do for them?" That question hit me like a truck. "Sometimes," I admitted. "Me too." he said quietly. Dad was supposed to come to my playoff game last month. Said he'd definitely be there. He didn't show. Sent me $200 afterward, though. I put my hand on his shoulder. This kid, this good kid, was learning the same lesson his father had learned. That presence could be replaced with money. That love was transactional. Your baseball matters, I told him. You matter. Don't forget that. He looked at me. You matter too, Grandpa. 3 weeks before Thanksgiving, I found something. I was going through Ellen's things, finally sorting through her closet. I'd avoided it for 3 years, but the house felt too empty, and I needed something to do with my hands. In a box on the top shelf, under old photo albums and her favorite scarves, I found a notebook. Ellen's handwriting on the front. For Bob. I almost didn't open it. It felt too private. But something made me. The first entry was dated a week after her diagnosis. Bob doesn't want to hear this, but I need to write it down. I'm scared. Not of dying, of leaving him alone with the boys. I kept reading. Entry after entry. She documented everything. The boys asking for money. The boys canceling visits. The boys talking about the house like it was already theirs. The last entry was dated 2 days before she died. My dear Bob, if you're reading this, I'm gone. I'm sorry I couldn't be stronger. I'm sorry I couldn't fix this. But please, please listen to me now. Michael and Brian love you, but they love your money more. They've been taking from you for years. And it's only going to get worse when I'm not here to say no. You worked so hard. You deserve to enjoy what's left. Don't let them guilt you. Don't let them manipulate you. You owe them nothing. You gave them everything already. Remember, love is supposed to feel like love, not like loss. I love you. Always. Ellen. I read that entry 5 times. Sitting on the floor of our closet, surrounded by her clothes that still smelled like her perfume, I finally understood what she'd been trying to tell me. She'd known. She'd seen it all. And she'd been carrying this weight, trying to protect me, even as she was dying. I sat there for an hour, crying for the first time since the funeral. Not for her death, for the truth she'd left me. That's when I decided to test them. Thanksgiving was coming. It was Ellen's favorite holiday. She'd always made it special, always insisted we all be together. I wanted to believe that if I created the opportunity, they'd show up. That if I cooked their favorite foods, set a beautiful table, reminded them what mattered, they'd remember that I existed for reasons beyond my bank account. I wanted to be wrong about what Ellen had written, but I wasn't wrong. The morning after Thanksgiving, I woke up to a text from Michael. Sorry we missed yesterday, Dad. The athletic association thing ran way longer than expected, and we were exhausted. Let's grab lunch next week. My treat. That was it. No. Happy Thanksgiving. No explanation for why he didn't call, didn't text, didn't show up. Just lunch next week. An empty promise I'd heard 1,000 times. Brian didn't text at all. I made coffee and sat in the backyard. It was late November in Chicago. Cold but clear. The oak tree was bare. The treehouse the boys had built with me was still there, weathered and unused. This house, this beautiful house that Ellen and I had built together, filled with memories. I thought about what would happen if I died tomorrow. Michael and Brian would show up for the funeral. They'd look sad. They'd probably even cry. And then they'd start dividing things up. The house, the cars, the investment accounts, the life insurance policy I'd barely touched. They'd take everything we'd built and sell it off and move on with their lives. And I'd be gone. Just a memory. Just an inheritance. That's when I heard Ellen's voice in my head, as clear as if she were sitting beside me. You owe them nothing. I picked up my phone and called my buddy Frank. We'd worked together for 20 years, retired the same year. He answered on the first ring. Bob, how was Thanksgiving? I told him everything. There was a long silence. Then, those ungrateful little shits. I almost laughed. Frank didn't usually swear. What are you going to do? He asked. I don't know yet, but something. You want me to come over? I'll bring beer. tomorrow. I need to think today. After I hung up, I went to my study and started going through my files, financial documents, the house deed, investment accounts, life insurance. The numbers were bigger than I'd thought about in years. The house was worth at least 1.5 million, like Brian had said. Probably more. I had 400,000 in savings. Ellen's life insurance had been 300,000. My pension was still paying out. My own life insurance was 500,000. I wasn't a rich man, but I was comfortable. Very comfortable. And I'd been living like I was still stretching an engineer's salary, putting money aside for the boys' future instead of my own. That afternoon, I made a list. A truth list. Truth. My sons do not call unless they need money. Truth. They missed Thanksgiving for a networking event. Truth. They have been taking from me for years without gratitude. Truth. Ellen saw this before she died, and it broke her heart. Truth. I have been setting myself on fire to keep them warm. Truth. I am 67 years old, and I'm still waiting for them to love me the way I love them. Truth. They won't, and that's not my fault. I stared at that list for a long time. Then I added one more line. Truth. I deserve better. The next day, Frank came over with beer and righteous anger. You know what you should do? He said. Sell the damn house. Take a trip. Do something for yourself. They'd never forgive me. So what? They're not showing up now. What exactly would you be losing? That question stayed with me. Tommy came over that Saturday like always. He took one look at me and said, What happened? I told him about Thanksgiving, about his dad and uncle at the club. His face fell. Grandpa, I didn't know. Dad told me he was having dinner with important clients. It's okay, kiddo. It's not okay. He looked angry. He does this. Says one thing, does another. Uncle Brian's the same way. That's very perceptive. I'm 15, not blind. He paused. Are you going to do something about it? Like what? I don't know. But Grandpa, you're one of the strongest people I know. You don't deserve this. Strong. He thought I was strong. I didn't feel strong. I felt old and tired and disappointed. But maybe strength wasn't about how you felt. Maybe it was about what you did anyway. That week, I made 3 appointments. First, I called a real estate agent. Not the one the boys had mentioned. A different one, recommended by Frank. Her name was Patricia. I'm thinking about selling my house, I told her. She was at my door in 30 minutes. We walked through together. She took notes, took pictures, nodded approvingly at the original woodwork, the updated kitchen, the location. Mr. Sullivan, this is a beautiful property. In this neighborhood, in this market, I'd estimate 1.7 million, possibly more with the right staging. 1.7 million. More than I'd thought. How fast could it sell? Fast. Lincoln Park Victorian in good condition? You'd have multiple offers in days. Let's do it. She looked surprised. Don't you want to think about it? Talk to your family? No, I said. This is my house. My decision. Second, I called my lawyer, Dennis. He'd handled our estate planning after Ellen died. Dennis, I need to update my will. Of course. What changes are you thinking? Everything. I want to change everything. We met the next day. I told him what I wanted, and he took notes without blinking. Bob, this is going to upset your sons. I know. You're sure about this? I thought about 6 hours at an empty table. I thought about Ellen's notebook. I thought about Tommy, the only one who kept showing up. I'm sure. Third, I called the Veterans Foundation of Illinois. I'd served in the Army for 4 years after college. I'd always meant to give back someday. Why not now? I'd like to make a donation, I told the development director, to create a scholarship fund for veterans pursuing engineering degrees. That's wonderful. What amount were you thinking? 500,000 to start. There was a brief pause. That's extremely generous, Mr. Sullivan. My wife and I believed in education and service. This feels right. Would you like the scholarship named after you? After both of us. The Robert and Ellen Sullivan Veterans Engineering Scholarship. When I hung up, I felt something I hadn't felt in 4 years. Purpose. The house went on the market the next week. Patricia was right. I had 7 offers in 5 days. I accepted the highest one, 1.85 million. The closing was set for 6 weeks out. That gave me time. Time to pack. Time to find a new place. I'd already found a perfect 2-bedroom condo in River North, closer to downtown, modern, manageable. Time to sort through 35 years of accumulated life. And time to tell my sons. I didn't tell them immediately. I wanted everything locked in first. Non-negotiable. Tommy helped me pack on Saturdays. He wrapped dishes, labeled boxes, told me about school and baseball and his hopes for college. "Are you nervous?" he asked one day. "About leaving?" "No," I said. "I thought I would be. But this house is full of memories. The memories come with me. I don't need the building." "What about Dad and Uncle Brian?" "They don't know yet." He looked up. "They don't know you sold the house?" "Not yet, Tommy." He grinned. "Grandpa, that's savage." 3 weeks before closing, Michael called. "Hey, Dad, I need to talk to you about something." "Here it comes," I thought. "What is it?" "The startup is in a tight spot. We need a capital infusion, about $75,000 to get through Q1. After that, we're golden. Investors are lined up. I know it's a lot, but this is crucial. Could you?" "No." Silence. "What?" "No, Michael. I can't help you this time. Dad, this is my company, my future. I just need. You need to figure it out yourself. I'm not a bank. I never said you were a bank. I'm asking my father for help. You're asking your father for money. There's a difference. I can't believe this." His voice got tight. After everything I did for you, you couldn't show up for Thanksgiving." Another silence. Longer. "That's what this is about?" "I told you. The Athletic Association thing, I know where you were. I saw the Facebook post, so I made a mistake. I apologized. But this business is my livelihood, Dad. Jessica and I have a mortgage. So do I. Figure it out, Michael." I hung up before he could respond. My hands were shaking, but I felt clear, focused. 2 days later, Brian called. "Dad, I heard you said no to Michael. Word travels fast. Look, he's really hurt. And honestly, I'm confused. You've always helped us before. Is something wrong?" "Nothing's wrong. I'm just making different choices." "Is this about Thanksgiving?" "Because, Dad, we're busy. We have lives. You can't hold one missed dinner against us forever. I'm not holding anything against anyone. I'm choosing not to give away money I need." "Need for what?" "You live in that house alone. You're retired. Mom left you comfortable. What could you possibly need it for? How would you know what I need? You haven't asked about my life in 3 years. That's not fair, isn't it? We're family, Dad. Family helps each other. That's what you and Mom always taught us." And there it was, the invocation of their mother. "Your mother left me a notebook," I said quietly. "Did you know that? She wrote about how tired she was of watching you boys treat me like an ATM. She asked me not to let you take advantage of me after she was gone." "That's not we never," he sounded genuinely shocked. "Dad, we love you. Love is an action. Brian, not a word. And your actions have been pretty clear. I can't believe you're saying this. You're our father." "I am, which is why I raised you to be independent, capable men. You don't need my money. You need to manage your own." "Fine." His voice went cold. "Fine. Don't help your own sons. See if we forget this." "I'm sure you won't." After those calls, there was silence. No texts, no calls, nothing. It confirmed what I already knew. When the money stopped, so did the contact. Tommy came over the next Saturday looking worried. "Dad's really mad at you," he said. "He and Jessica were talking about how you've changed, how you're being unreasonable." "Do you think I'm being unreasonable?" He thought about it. "No, I think you're being smart. Dad and Uncle Brian have been using you, Grandpa. I've seen it my whole life. I just didn't know how to say it. You're a good kid, Tommy. I learned from you." He hugged me. "Whatever you're doing, I'm on your side." The closing happened on a Friday in December. I signed the papers, watched the 1.85 million transfer into my account, and handed over the keys. That night, I slept in my new condo for the first time. Smaller, more manageable, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the Chicago River. Modern, clean, mine. On Saturday morning, I sent a group text to Michael and Brian. Sold the house. Closing was yesterday. Moved into my new place. Address below if you want to visit. My phone rang within seconds. Michael, you sold the house without telling us? It was my house. That was our childhood home. How could you not even consult us? Did you consult me before you skipped Thanksgiving? Before you took money from the joint account? Before you started planning to move me into assisted living so you could sell it yourselves? What? Who told you? I heard you. At your mother's funeral. In the kitchen. He didn't respond. The house is sold, I continued. The money is mine. I've made my decisions, and they don't include funding your startups or Brian's golf clubs. This is insane, Dad. You're making a huge mistake. You need that money. For what? So you can inherit it? There was a pause. What about our inheritance? There it was. The real question. The Veterans Foundation has a new scholarship fund. $500,000 for veterans studying engineering. It's named after your mother and me. You gave away our inheritance to strangers? I gave away my money to a cause I believe in. And Dennis updated my will. When I die, the condo and remaining funds go to Tommy in a trust for college and his future. You and Brian will each receive $1, as required by law to show you weren't forgotten. You can't do this. I already did. Tommy? You're leaving everything to Tommy? He's 15. He's the only one who acts like family. The only one who shows up. The only one who asks how I am without asking for money next. This is because of one Thanksgiving dinner. No, Michael. This is because of 1,000 small moments when you weren't there. This is because your mother died asking me not to let you take advantage of me. And I ignored her for 3 years. This is because I'm 67 years old and I'm done giving pieces of myself to people who only see me as a wallet. He was breathing hard. You'll regret this. I don't think I will. We're your sons. Yes, which is why this hurts. But I didn't abandon you. I'm setting boundaries. There's a difference. I hung up. Brian called next. I didn't answer. He left a voicemail. Dad, this is cruel. This is vindictive. We made one mistake, and you're punishing us for life. Call me back. We need to fix this. I deleted the voicemail. The next few weeks were hard. I won't lie. There were nights I lay awake wondering if I'd done the right thing, if I was being too harsh, if I should call them, apologize, make it right. But then I'd remember the empty table. I'd remember Ellen's notebook. You owe them nothing. And I'd remember Tommy showing up every Saturday, caring about me as a person, not a bank account. Frank came over often. We'd watch football, play cards, talk about retirement plans and what we wanted to do with our time. How are you feeling? He asked one evening. Lighter, I said. Is that weird? Not even a little. You've been carrying them for 40 years. It's okay to put the weight down. I started taking woodworking classes at the community center, joined a veterans group, started volunteering at a literacy program for kids. Tommy came to my new place every other Saturday just like before. We'd go to Cubs games, try new restaurants downtown, work on college applications. Have you heard from them? He asked one day. We were at Navy Pier, watching the boats on the lake. No. Dad asked me not to see you anymore. Said you're being manipulative, and I'm too young to understand. My chest tightened. Tommy, you don't have to keep coming. I don't want problems between you and your dad. Grandpa, I'm 15, not 5. I can make my own decisions, and I choose you. I hugged him right there on the pier. Didn't care who saw. Christmas came. I half expected a card, a text, something. Nothing. I spent Christmas with Frank and his family. It was loud and warm and chaotic, and no one asked me for money. Tommy came on Christmas Eve with a present. He'd built me a wooden box in his shop class at school, with Sullivan carved into the lid. For your tools, he said. So you remember that building things is about more than just the plans. It's about what you create, I cried. Happy tears. New Year came. I made a resolution to stop waiting for people who weren't coming. In January, I got an email from the Veterans Foundation. The first Sullivan Scholarship had been awarded to a young veteran named Marcus, 24, medically discharged after Afghanistan, now studying civil engineering. They sent me his essay. He wrote about his squad, the guys who didn't make it home, how he wanted to build things that would last, bridges and buildings that would mean something. He sounded like me at that age. I asked if I could meet him. We had coffee in February. Marcus was sharp, driven, grateful. "Mr. Sullivan," he said, "this scholarship, it's not just money. It's someone believing I can do this. It's hope." I thought about Michael and Brian. All the money I'd given them over the years. All the times I'd bailed them out, made things easier. Had I given them hope? Or had I robbed them of the chance to build their own strength? In March, Tommy got into Northwestern, full scholarship for baseball and academics. "Will you come to my graduation?" he asked. Wild horses couldn't keep me away. In April, I got a letter from Brian. "Dad, I've had time to think. I was angry, but I'm trying to understand. Maybe we did take you for granted. Maybe we did only call when we needed something. But we're your sons. Doesn't that count for something? Can we talk?" I read it 3 times. Then I called him. "Brian, Dad." He sounded nervous. "Thanks for calling. I got your letter." I meant it. I've been thinking a lot about Mom, about you, about everything. I appreciate that. Could we meet? Get coffee? I'd really like to talk. Part of me wanted to say no, to protect myself. But another part, the part that had taught this boy to ride a bike, helped him with homework, walked him down the aisle at his wedding, that part wanted to try. "Coffee," I said. "But Brian, I need you to understand something." "What?" "I'm not changing my mind about the money. The house is sold. The scholarship is established. The will is updated. Those decisions are final. I know. I'm not calling about money." "Good. Then we can talk." We met the next week at a cafe in the Loop. Brian looked older, tired. We ordered coffee and sat in uncomfortable silence. "I don't know where to start," he finally said. "Start wherever you need to. I'm sorry. About Thanksgiving. About all of it. You were right. We took you for granted. We just got used to you always being there, always helping. We didn't think about what you might need. Your mother tried to tell you. Before she died, I didn't know she felt that way. She never said anything to me. She didn't want to hurt you. Neither did I. But saying yes to everything you asked meant saying no to myself. I can't do that anymore." He nodded, eyes wet. "Are we too late to fix this?" "That depends." "On what?" "On whether you want a relationship with me or access to what I have." "I want my dad," he said, and his voice broke. "I want my dad back." I reached across the table and took his hand. "I'm right here. I've always been here. But I need you to show up. Not with requests. Just show up. Ask about my life. Tell me about yours. Be present. I can do that. Can you?" "I want to try." We talked for 2 hours. It wasn't perfect. There were hard moments, defensive moments, tears, but it was honest. More honest than we'd been in years. "What about Michael?" he asked finally. "I don't know. He hasn't reached out. He's stubborn. Like you. I'm stubborn too. Also like me." Brian almost smiled. "What now?" "Now you decide. Do you want to be in my life as it is? Not as you wish it was. Small condo, boundaries, new priorities." "Yes," he said. "I do." We started slowly. Coffee once a month, then every other week. He told me about work, his marriage, his struggles. I told him about my woodworking classes, my volunteer work, the scholarship recipients I'd met. He had lunch with Tommy one day. "Grandpa's different," Tommy told me later. "Happier. Have you noticed?" I had. Michael never called. Tommy said he was still angry, still convinced I'd lost my mind or been manipulated. It hurt. I won't lie. But I couldn't force him to see what he didn't want to see. In June, I went to Tommy's graduation. Brian came too. We sat together, cheered when Tommy's name was called, took photos after. Michael wasn't there. He'd said he would be, but something came up at work. Tommy smiled through it, but I saw the pain in his eyes. That evening, just the three of us at dinner, Tommy said, "I'm glad you guys are here. This means everything." "We wouldn't miss it," Brian said. "Family shows up." Tommy looked at me. I looked at Brian. Something had shifted. Something real. I'm 68 now. It's been a year since I sold the house. Since I chose myself. Since I learned that love should feel like love, not like obligation or guilt or loss. Michael and I still don't speak. Maybe we never will. That's his choice, and I've made peace with it. But I have Brian back. Not perfectly. We still stumble. But genuinely. And I have Tommy, who's heading to Northwestern in the fall, who teaches me every day that family is something you build with your actions, not your DNA. The scholarship fund has helped 6 veterans so far. I get letters from them. They tell me about their classes, their projects, their dreams of building things that matter. They remind me why I became an engineer in the first place. My life is smaller now, quieter. But it's mine. I'm not waiting anymore. Not waiting for people to show up, to appreciate me, to love me the way I deserve. I'm done giving myself away to people who only saw me as a resource. And for the first time in years, I'm enough, just as I am. That Thanksgiving evening, when I sat alone at a table set for 7, I thought I was learning about betrayal, about disappointment, about my sons choosing networking over their father. But I was wrong. I was learning about freedom. I was learning that it's never too late to choose yourself. And I was learning that the family that matters isn't always the one you're born into. Sometimes it's the one that shows up,